Hello everyone, Fox here, and it's time to get back into the Nightmare Zone, episode, 132, I think? The panel says that we're 97 days in. I'm not sure if it's a little slow, though. I feel like it isn't quite up to date, but it might be. Anyways, shout out to Sir Lagalot XBL, who, apparently just finished the 100-day challenge. Oh man, I can't wait for that to be done. That's something that... get to put the, at least the primary Nightmare series can finally come to an end. I don't want it to reach 200 episodes. Like, it's already really bad at 170 episodes. It really scares people. They're like, oh, I'd like to watch it, but 170 episodes is so, like, it's so daunting. And I agree, it's a lot of episodes. I'm looking forward to... putting aside the Nightmare series, that doesn't mean there won't be any more Nightmare content, but I'm going to create a new playlist for it. I've got basically two ideas. There's going to be a series called Return to Nightmare Zone, and the concept of it is going to be whenever an update comes out, or if I just feel like playing, we'll drop it into that series. Because, you know, we're at the point where there's not a lot to do in State of Decay. Like, we're at that point now. So, that's one thing we're going to do. But I still have ideas. Even though we're running out of things to do, like I said, Undead Labs, they cannot possibly create content fast enough. But that doesn't mean there aren't a few ideas remaining. And so, yeah, we're going to have Return to Nightmare Zone. That's basically what we're going to do when... Here's my Echo 2. Here's this... What skills do I need to level up? Scouting and swordplay. We can get swordplay up real quick.
Don't move a muscle, I'm on my way.
Go chop a few zombies up. So yeah, Return to Nightmare Zone, the whole point of that series is going to be whenever like a new update comes out that's worth playing, or whatever reason to come back and play, like one example is the Fresh Start. The Fresh Start, that's going to be in the Return to Nightmare Zone series. And then whenever they come out with, like, an update, sure, we can return to the Nightmare Zone, basically. Like, that's exactly the point of it. The other series I will do, and, like, this one will probably be inconsistent, because I'm going to try to do a multiplayer series. I've been doing a little bit of research on how I want to handle it. And, yeah, I'm going to try to have a multiplayer series. But like I said, since that's reliant on other people, it will probably be inconsistent. Okay, so we got the 3 ferals. Looks like I'm not close enough to them to really... Is my TV off? Okay, it's off. You crouch. Although now my aim is ruined by... Do I need to hop the fence? One.
Take that, you
two.
feral fuck.
Oh, his body got in the way. I want to kill him. Everything is getting in the way. I'll just pop a zombie and he'll be attracted to the noise.
I've heard rumors of a few towns in eastern Montana that never fell to this end.
There we go.
If that's the case, we should all learn from these folks' example.
Tell you what, that didn't teach us too much, Meredith. Like how can we learn from their example, like, when you don't tell us, like, even a single thing about them? But yeah, those are my plans going forward. Like that, I mean, like I said, the issue is that we're in a drought of content. Like, there's just not enough to do. But I mean, as long as people want to watch, I will try to think of things to do. But like I said, I'm also looking for additional games to move on to, just because the channel is going to be in decline if I just make State of Decay content. In fact, the best State of Decay content for me to make is probably going to be guides, like to finish up some of the guides for new players that are coming into the game. But that's my plan going forward with State of Decay. I know some people will be sad to see, like, a reduction in State of Decay content, but it's just there's just nothing I can do about it. Like, they... You know, as much as Undead Labs wants to be this, like, live service kind of game, they just can't produce content at a rate that is like a live service game. So it's why I think it was a kind of a foolish idea in the first place. But that's not going to be the primary discussion today.
Hey there. Yay.
Okay. Their nickname is Bait. Not the most reassuring nickname. So today's discussion is basically a question that a community member named Zeta brought up, and he wanted to know, like, what could be done to improve the endgame experience for State of Decay, and I kind of addressed it a little bit, but we can talk in greater detail about it, or as... I don't know about greater detail, because, like, I don't have, like, really specific examples, but we can talk about is how other games in a similar genre handle it. Like, what do they do to make their game longer and to make their game more satisfying?
I'm over here.
Okay, so this is the one who's like, oh my god, we got to use the scent block because...
Way too many zombies out here. This could go south any minute.
Okay, now we just run away.
Let's talk.
It's like you're supposed to use zombie, or is... Oh my god, are you gonna get in?
Zombies around here. We're gonna have trouble, and soon.
Oh no. So much trouble. The only trouble I had there was like a loss in frame rates. Yeah, that's an example there, once again, of like a poorly designed quest. They're like, oh my god, use the scent block in order to escape undetected. I'm like, or you could just get into your car and drive away. But yeah, so the main thing that State of Decay needs is they need some kind of tech tree. A tech tree is really important because it helps you organize the progression of your game, as well as provide, like, logical gating mechanisms. Let me go ahead and wrap this up.
That's how we're gonna get through this. One day at a time.
This one's next.
See you soon.
So if you're not sure what a tech tree is, a tech tree is basically a graph of the progress that you need to make to unlock certain features. It typically gets its name from strategy games that have, like, various technologies you have to research. An example is that in State of Decay there is something akin to a tech tree. For example, if you want to get to the level 3 infirmary, you need somewhat the knowledge of medicine. Like, that's the gating mechanism, that's what prevents you from getting to the third tier of the infirmary. And those are useful because, one, it encourages you to find different kinds of skills, but on the other hand, it also restricts your options, because, you know, there's only so many people you can take into your community, so you have to determine, do you want a medicine guy, you know, do you want that person or not, or is there somebody else that you would prefer to have? So...
It's nice to have a friend visiting.
Must be you.
Definitely earned a favor with this.
Okay, so we need to clear... Yeah, I remember. We gotta clear the clinic. Oh, pretty close by. Let's go grab some firecrackers while we're near our base. But yeah, the point of a tech tree typically is... One, it restricts your resources where you kind of have to pick and choose. Like, maybe you can't have every single item on the tech tree. Or sometimes, if you can get them all, it makes you pick the order, because maybe it takes a while to get them all. Let's use this, so that we can shoot a little faster.
asshole.
Just like that. That's using that Echo S1 to better effect there. Especially since the Echo S2, like I said, doesn't shoot as quickly, so having that as an alternate option is pretty good. Put this stuff away. Let me go ahead and rearm. Man, we had like so many 22 caliber rounds, and now we're like down to like basically a little over 100. Now I want firecrackers and some Molotovs. I should probably refuel as well. Might as well burn this one first.
This will slow me down.
But the reason why the tech tree is important for State of Decay, a more extensive tech tree, is it prolongs the game in a way that, you know, it gives you kind of something to work towards. If there's something that's really important, and it needs to be something that's kind of like revolutionary, it needs to be like, oh man, when you unlock this, it's going to be a big deal, like you get like this really major step forward in the game. That's the kind of stuff that it needs. Another thing that State of Decay needs is, it's not hardcore enough, and there are a few ways, but one of the ways I'll talk about is survival games are supposed to be about scarcity, about managing your resources and whatnot. Like, if you're watching my Dead Space playthrough, one of the things that's really important is to... Oh. Okay, got him before he could scream.
We struggled today, so someone doesn't have to tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, so it's 99. So yeah, it is behind. It said 97, we're at 99. So the way it's going to work is, I guess I'll talk about the day 100. The way it's going to work is, if I hit day 100 towards the end of the episode, basically like 40 minutes or later, then I'll just start a new episode. But if I hit day 100 early in the episode, what we'll do is we'll just cut the episode to a close. I'll make my final, and then I'll make my final preparations, and I'll just splice it into the episode. Darn it. There we go. But I have a feeling if we hit episode 100 or a day 100, I have a feeling it'll be really late in the night.
Enjoy peace eternal, asshole.
Because the next update is going to be at like midnight in terms of the game time. And so we either won't get it until way at the end of the episode, or we'll get it early in the following episode. Basically, the reason I want to do it is because if we hit episode... When we hit episode 100, it's going to be at night, just because, like, that's when the day changes. Well, like, I don't want to do anything at night, because, like, night is not fun for this kind of stuff. For the firecrackers.
And I'm done. Yay.
Okay, I don't know why that counted, but it did. And the zombies are just going crazy. It's like, I don't even know what they're doing. You throw another firecracker. You know what? Who cares? I'll just kill the screamer, and we'll call it a day. Anyways, yeah, so I was talking about scarcity. One of the problems in State of Decay is that the game is... Survival game is supposed to be about scarcity, and one of the examples is, if you're watching my gameplay of Dead Space 1, the reason why it's so important to efficiently kill the necromorphs is... It's not just because it keeps you alive to kill them efficiently, but every time you get excess supplies, you can store some of them. But even more important than that, you can start selling them. And as you sell them, you can use the money that you earn to start buying upgrades, and the upgrades allow you to kind of like snowball out of control. Okay, like what are they doing? Well, we need to be in melee combat anyways. And so, yeah, you can basically sell your extra stuff so you're rewarded for fighting efficiently, and then you can start buying upgrades. And as you buy upgrades, you start doing more damage, you can shoot faster, reload faster, you got more health, your suit's oxygen lasts longer, so you can, you don't have to feel as panicked or pressured. And then it starts to snowball because you can leverage these advantages to get even further ahead. Because now you kill enemies in a fewer number of hits, even the tougher enemies can be killed more efficiently. And that means you have even more excess supplies. And more excess supplies means more that you could sell for more upgrades. So there's like a snowball effect. Like that's the value of effectively managing your supplies in Dead Space despite the scarcity. The problem with State of Decay 2 is that there isn't a scarcity. Because not only are there a ton of supplies on the map, even on Nightmare Zone, it doesn't matter that there are pre-looted buildings. Yeah, the pre-looted buildings might initially hamper you, but there is still plenty of supplies despite the pre-looted buildings. And even though in Nightmare Zone, the buildings may even offer less, like there may be only one rucksack in the building instead of two, there's still plenty of supplies. There's not a scarcity of supplies. And even if there was, like, oh no, like, there's just nothing here. Well, you can change maps, and bam, you've got a whole brand new map to loot all the stuff that you want. And so in the end, it has the illusion of scarcity, but it doesn't actually have scarcity. And scarcity is really important to a survival game. Scarcity is what separates a survival game from just like an action game. Like if you're playing like Call of Duty or you're playing Halo. Admittedly, on the highest difficulties of Halo, you can run into you can run into issues where you're just using all the ammo of every weapon on the map, and like the enemies are still not dying. That especially in Halo 2 Legendary, that can be a problem. But the main point, though, is that State of Decay 2 doesn't really have a real scarcity of resources. And on top of that, in a open-world kind of zombie game, you're not just expecting there to be at least a relative scarcity. Even if the map is well-populated with things that you want, it should be dangerous to go out and get stuff. Like, on Standard Zone, if you start a brand new Standard Zone game up, there's like nothing there. There's like no enemies. Like you could go around and like just periodically wander into zombies. Like I invited one of my friends to... Oh, there's a feral. I think he might have saw me. Oh.
Take that, you feral fuck.
And we've claimed a decent number of ferals. Like, was that our fourth one? There's a juggernaut over there. No need to fight him, though. I need to get my sword play up. But the issue is, like, on Standard Zone in particular, there's just no enemies. Like, I invited one of my friends over, and he quickly lost interest in State of Decay 2, despite enjoying State of Decay 1, because he's like, there's nothing to do. It's like, there's no enemies, there's hardly anything to do, there's hardly any enemies to fight, and eventually, yeah, they did come out with Nightmare Zone, but by then, it's kind of like he just felt like he was moving on to other things, and he had lost interest in it. There were other games he wanted to play. And so, like, basically, you know, the game had a chance to make a good first impression, and he liked the previous game. He liked State of Decay 1, and the game made a bad first impression on a veteran State of Decay 1 player, and that was, it was quite unfortunate, and it's just due to the game. For some reason, I would suspect that Undead Labs did it to try and appeal to like a broader audience to get like more people into the game. But at the expense of that, they made the game too dull. And on one end, yeah, there's definitely been a lot of new players coming into State of Decay, and there's plenty of people who they do have trouble with even Standard Zone. But it's very unfortunate that they basically traded the experience of their veteran players in order to try to increase the wider appeal. And then, although, yeah, it's true, there is a Nightmare Zone, you had to wait basically a year. Like, something like 7 or 8 months passed.
Enjoy peace eternal, asshole.
Oh, we got all of them. But that doesn't have anything to do with the scarcity. So that's the main subject, is that the main problem is that the game isn't hard enough. Not in terms of that there's like, in terms of nightmares, I'm not talking about that the zombies don't do enough damage or there's not enough zombies. It's that everything else about the game isn't hard enough. It's like, even with the looted buildings, there isn't a scarcity of resources. You can just change maps whenever you want. Why isn't changing maps a bit more restrictive? Like, you'd think that moving a massive community of people would have some challenges involved in it. Like, you know, can you really just move like a pack up and leave with a 12-man community? In State of Decay 1, you had the idea of the RV. Like, you had to get the recreational vehicle, and that's how you... What do you call it? That's how you move from map to map. And they even had the idea that you couldn't bring everyone with you.
Over my head here. Can anyone help?
I'm headed your way.
Okay, let's head back to base. So there needs to be more of a scarcity. Like I said, you know, I think Nightmare Zone more or less got... The quantity of zombies is fine. The amount of damage they do is fine. It's everything else that's the issue. Go assassinate this guy. Wish they gave you, like, a bonus amount. I mean, maybe they do give you bonus EXP for assassinating them, but it would be nice just because... Wits is one of the most frustrating skills to level up. So to recap, the game needs a more tiered tech tree where there's these abilities that you're trying to unlock in the long term. I think one of the ways they could do it is through community members. Like, maybe you need multiple community members to work together to build certain important buildings, and then they could time gate it through legacies. Instead of having a legacy end the game, where you're like, okay, you beat the legacy, so therefore game over, the legacy should act as like the checkpoint where you're like, okay, now I'm officially progressing into the next stage of the game. And, like, that's kind of like the more long-term legacy. Like, you're building towards your legacy. Let's loot all these while we're here. Might as well fast loot as well.
Again.
Who cares?
Fabulous. Watch out. Trouble coming.
Beer, we can sell that. And my minion is making a ton of noise.
This is gonna come in handy.
We can sell that. I'll take these. Wow. I still haven't had a search crash yet. Oh, there's a search crash.
Not every Zed in the county heard that.
Wow, the objective is like right next door.
You really need to speed up. This is the place. Keep your eyes open, okay?
So him leaping onto my... So him leaping onto the car window, or the door, damaged the engine? Oh, I'm not dead yet. Oh my god, give me my stamina back. I mean, that's one of the big issues between State of Decay 2 and 1 is, I don't know if State of Decay 1 is harder than State of Decay 2. Like, I don't think it is, personally. But I do think State of Decay 1 is more hardcore. Because hardcore does increase the difficulty, but it itself is just a different kind of, it's a different thing. It's like a different beast altogether, like the hardcore versus the difficulty of the game.
Thank you. I don't know what I would have done without you.
And I think that's what... Okay. Oh, we had another quest for a second. I want to get the Z Hunter meds here, because they do sell for a bit.
Take care of ourselves first. Nobody else will.
They get so mad about us, like, trading that weapon away. I'm like, we have so many better weapons than that. Like, who cares? Go dump off all this crap. Gotta go level up our skills some more. But that's why I'm having all these discussions about the DLCs and whatnot, because the DLCs are an opportunity to try to fix some of these issues. It's your chance to, like, course correct. It's your chance to be like, okay, so what's missing from State of Decay? But the problem is that none of the DLCs add things that were missing. Like, Daybreak, sure, it adds facilities, and facilities are cool and all, but the only hardcore thing it added was, like, this crazy grind that takes, like, way more effort than it needs to. And, like... And that's not, like, a good kind of hardcore. That's not, like, something that's enjoyable. It's not a hardcore that serves the purpose of the game. It's just time gating for the sake of time gating. And then when there's no one to play in Daybreak and you gotta play by yourself, well, that makes it even worse. But that's one of the issues there. The DLCs were the chance, like in Heartland, for example. Heartland was a chance to make the Blood Plague more hardcore. It's like all the enemies are Blood Plague now. The freaks are Blood Plague now. The infestations are Blood Plague now. The Plague Hearts are even more Plague Hardy. They've formed into the Plague Walls, and now they're like super, like, even more Plague Heart than they've ever been before. Like, it was a chance to be more hardcore, as well as a chance to add in a bunch of interesting skills. And while they did add some skills that were interesting, they still weren't that different. Many of the facilities in Heartland are basically like hybrid facilities, like facilities that just combine a bunch of the features of several facilities together, like the pioneering station that gave you water, gave you power. So it was basically, it was a well, it was a solar generator, and then it also gave you, what do you call it? The preparation room. The thing that means that where you don't have to pay material upkeep. So it was basically a whole bunch of buildings crammed together, and no doubt about it, it's a very strong building, for sure, especially if you don't have amenities, which you don't in Heartland. You don't get any of the legacies. But it's not exactly a very new... It's not a very new building. It just combines a whole bunch of existing ones. Another example is like the Clio uplink that lets you call in a Clio drop. Well, like, that already exists. You have the Clio relay from the Daybreak expansion. So that's already something that's in the game. Gotta get around these guys. Let me tell you, assassinating all these zombies is not the most fun thing to do. It is pretty boring. But I also believe it is one of the fastest ways to level up, which may be the fastest way.
On wiping out all the Plague Hearts in town.
Almost there, though. That's one thing I wish is that I wish they had more ways to level up your wits. Because of all the skills, wits definitely levels up the slowest. It definitely has the issue of being the most troublesome to improve upon. Well, this character is beat, so let's head back. Put all this in here so that we don't have to find all of our stuff. Can we call in the meds trader yet? Not for 21 minutes. So basically at the end of the episode. Another thing I think is, I don't feel like the State of Decay Legacies should end the game. Because if you don't want to end the game, then you basically want to stay as far away from the Legacies as possible. And I find that to be a little disappointing. That doing the quest just brings you closer to your game ending involuntarily. Like, even if you don't want the game to end, you just can't do those quests. Okay, we're not doing that one. Go play as Susan, I guess. Save some fuel while we're driving. I guess I could destroy these plague hearts over here. Wait, I don't need that. I need this. But that's the issue, is that even on Nightmare Zone, I think the issue is that State of Decay is just too accessible. It's too easy to do things, and it doesn't take that long to make it through what tech tree they have. Especially since you can choose your initial guys. In the very beginning, if you choose just the most important ones, the mechanics so that you can build parts, or you can build toolkits, and then the gardener so that you can eliminate your food problems. That's basically like the majority of the stuff you need in the first place. Okay, so we need to put some of this stuff back. And the thing is, I don't know what they need to do to make the game more hardcore without, like, you know, going overboard. Maybe they do need to go a little overboard. Because, like, they definitely went overboard in the wrong direction. Like, they went, like, they trimmed the difficulty of the game back too far. Maybe they need to go a little overboard to find out what too much is, just so that they have perspective on... Oh, wait, let's go get a scent block also. Because they obviously thought Nightmare Zone was just going to be like, oh my god, it's going to be so hard that it's practically impossible, like... You know, no one's going to survive this. You have to be a fool to play on Nightmare Zone. I mean, but do you really? Is it really that big of a deal? I mean, sure, the beginning can be a bit of a challenge just because you don't have all the options at your disposal. But all it does in the end is it just slows you down to getting to the point that I'm at right now, which is where basically you're out of things to do and you're just kind of going through the motions playing the game. That's really it. The difference between Nightmare and Standard is that in Standard Zone you get there super fast, but in Nightmare Zone you get there slower, but the end result is still the same. I mean, what's funny is even certain skills in Nightmare Zone that I thought were going to be like must-haves, I mean, they're better. Like Stealth is the prime example of this. Stealth is definitely better in Nightmare Zone, but it's definitely not a must-have. It's like if you pass on Stealth, it's not like, oh no, you've doomed yourself. It's like the end of the world. Like, without Stealth, you can't do anything. But, No, it's like, it's not even that big of a deal.
Must really fuck up property values.
Oh, I know, SVS, I believe, made the comment that, why don't I just do like a marathon play? It's because my voice is going hoarse from doing multiple episodes of all these, you know, between Oxygen Not Included, Dead Space, and A State of Decay. My voice is, even now, my voice is bothering me a little bit. So it's just an issue of practicality. In fact, after this, I will probably, I still have to record Dead Space Episode 3, but I will probably, instead of immediately recording, I'll probably take an hour off to let my voice rest. We're right over here, I guess.
That sure left a mark.
Hey, I heard the barrel.
Don't let him down. This played hard history.
Barrel sounds like he's burning. Got him. We've killed a lot of ferals in this episode. I'll take those for sure. I know a lot of people want to say that the BFG is more OP than the pyro launcher because it does more damage, but you can't use the BFG unless you've just got like a ton of ammo laying around, and if you need just an ungodly amount of ammo to make something good, well, like, that's what makes it not OP. Like, really what makes the BFG OP is the fact that you can put it on somebody that's not you. You put it on your community member, and then they get infinite ammo. That's what makes it OP, because the ammo consumption is what balances it. And you know, like, yeah, some people have like 3,000 BFG rounds because they either dupe or just all they do is farm day in and day out. But it's like, if you dupe, then everything is OP. It's really not going to matter. You know, you have infinite ammo. But if you grinded the 3,000... Oh man, we're getting a lot of medicine, which is really good. Because then we can turn around and flip it. Sell the heavy-duty pain cure, or the painkillers. But yeah, if you grind, like, that's like hundreds of hours of grinding to get the ammunition for like 3,000 rounds for the BFG. Like, yeah, I mean, the amount of time that it took for you to do that, yeah, the pyro launcher would have done so much more damage because you would have been able to use the pyro launcher immediately. The pyro launcher is very ammo efficient. So it doesn't even require any... Wow, that's a horde of like 2 zombies or something. Okay, it's on the 2nd floor, I'm guessing. Right in the little kid's room. Kind of somewhat morbid implications. Someone had an interesting suggestion. And like I said, going back into what could be done to make the game more hardcore, what could be done to make the game more, you know, end game friendly. Oh, we need to put this away. He basically is like, we need more variations of the Plague Heart. You know, like, what if there was like a moving Plague Heart? Like, if it was like
Idiots not to turn this into an outpost.
It's like a mass that's capable of like traveling about. And it's like, it can't really fight back so much, but it is, what it's capable of doing is basically generating a poison cloud that just causes like constant blood plague infection level. Like, you need to keep your distance from it. And it would encourage the use of... It would be a slow-moving thing, so it would encourage the use of like long-range bombardment, like using the grenade launcher. It would encourage stuff like using landmines, because, you know, you could, like, predict its travel path and, like, do damage in that way. Well, you know, that's a pretty good idea. Like, I thought, like, you know, something to make some of the existing weaponry more useful. I think that's exactly the kind of ideas that State of Decay needs. I'm on fire.
Fucking tough.
How's our oh, well, we can't check our influence because of... I'll take fuel. Take that. Leave the rest. Grab the sample. Back to base. It's so crazy, like, the, of course. They gotta, like, ruin my getaway. It's like, oh, man, you've ran onto, like, rocks or something. Okay, let's try this again. We'll drive along the road this time. Let's not hit the bloater. Some of the other suggestions I saw, because, like, yeah, we'll talk about some suggestions I saw. Someone said there, you know, more zombie types. Maybe there could be, like, animal zombies. That's something that's kind of interesting, is animal zombies are typically, like, an easy way to create additional types of zombies. But from what I understand, Undead Labs, they just have an ethical problem with animal zombies. Like, they don't like the idea of harming animals, which... I think it's kind of silly. It's like, you don't like the idea of harming animals, but you don't have a problem with the idea of harming, like, humans and whatnot. So, you know, I don't know if... I forgot who said it. There was this one female developer. So I don't know if she's reflective of all of Undead Labs or even most of Undead Labs, but that was the reason I had heard from them. But, like, animal zombies, that would have been an easy way to just add some new types of enemies in... Just because, like, there's so many things you can do with animal wildlife that in a zombified form. Like, one of the games I played, they had, like, zombie deer, for example. And, like, yeah, like, they're pretty dangerous just because they, like, charge at you and gore you with their antlers. It's just now they're like a crazy zombie, you know, they're like... They run with, like, reckless abandon and whatnot, and they're, like, really hard to, like... They've got a lot of health to go through because they're, like, a pretty big animal. So the, if that's an option, I heard someone else say that maybe they should add in, like, flying zombies, you know, in order to add, like, a new type. Another feral, jeez. We can put this in. Put this all away, reload. Need to put this away as well, so let's equip this one and throw the other one back in the locker. Side note, you know one thing that annoys me? Let me go to the outfits. I was basically like, you know, I don't want to change my outfits. I actually like the base outfits that the characters have. Like Ladislaw, I'm like, oh, I could give him a military outfit, but honestly, he has a pretty good military, like, themed outfit. Like, look, he's got these unique things with, like, these unique trousers with knee pads on. And then, like, yeah, he has a what do you call it? A crew cut camo shirt. I'm like, well, that's really unique looking. Like, would I really want to, like, remove that and put on, like, I don't know, a camo flannel? Does that make him look better? I don't think so. Desert camo flannel? No, I think, like, you know, he's got the, like, hand wraps, like the gloves on and everything. We got puffy vest has camo. Like, you know, does this make him look better? I don't think so. I don't really like the green jeans on the camo. It's same with, like, the tactical uniforms. I mean, like, these make them look a little more military-esque, but at the same time, like, I think they're a little, like, excessive. Like, I tend to not, I don't like them with, like, a lot of gizmos on them and whatnot. So, I mean, this is here, it's really unique. It's like, why would I want to change the outfit? That's one of the problems I have with the customization options is that the outfits they have are honestly more unique and more interesting. Like, look at this heavy jacket, this flannel jacket with like the double button up. There's nothing else like that. None of the other options are like that. There's this flannel shirt, just a normal button up. Like, that's way more unique. This one has like the like bulletproof vest on it, where it's like, it's kind of like, I like this one because compared to this where you've got like, I think, an excessive amount of gadgetry, this one's got like some pouches. Well, like, that's the other thing I don't like about the customizations is that honestly the default outfits, I think they tend to look better. Even this guy here, he has like a very military-esque look. Got the same kind of trousers that Ladislaw has, but with their camo, but he has the knee pads, and he's got that kind of desaturated, drab, grayish, greenish shirt. Like, that's just way more military-looking. Does he have a military background? No, he doesn't. That's just his outfit. Yeah, I don't even know.
It's good to be back on the air.
Oh, looks like Twain made it.
Reached the studio, I thought I was dead. But as we all know, the Lord works in mysterious ways. Keep the faith.
Wandering Trader. That could be interesting.
Keep going like this. I might have to...
Let's see what we got to sell. We can also reestablish that outpost as well. Don't want to sell any more of our painkillers because I don't want to dip below 30. And away we go. I really want to hammer home, like, the importance of the tech tree, though. I think the tech tree is something that really is needed in State of Decay. Just some kind of long-term thing that you're working towards. Because, like, one example is an Oxygen Not Included, and in the other game that Clay made, Don't Starve. Those games have really lengthy tech trees that take a pretty long time to get through, and they require, like, really specific things to advance through the tech tree, stuff that, you know, you unlock by getting farther into the game. And when you do unlock them, you usually get something like it's really powerful, and it allows you to access a new part of the game that you couldn't access, not because you couldn't go there and survive, but because it just gives you better options. Well, we don't want anything she's selling.
Sure.
But she wants this craft brewed beer that we're selling. Oh my god. Like I said, I have no idea what to do. Let's go reestablish that outpost. Since we have the spare influence.
Looks like some hungry deadheads are wandering in.
Okay, gives us something to do, finally.
Just letting you know.
We'll probably end the episode after this as well. So, now that I know next episode will be day 100, what I'm probably going to do next episode is, any time that it takes to get to the day 100 update, I'll probably just reflect on what it was like to go through the 100 days, what it was like to make all those episodes, like, you know, just kind of reflect on things for old time's sake. Okay, I didn't mean to drive that far up.
locked. Ears. Damn, too loud.
Yeah, I didn't want to ram through it.
Work.
Looks like nobody heard it besides
That's
that
what I left.
the zombie that was
Alright,
living
folks.
inside, though.
The outpost is up and running.
Back to the base. Just like the vehicle has like a black eye. That's always what I think when we're missing a headlight. Give that guy the squisheroni. But yeah, let me know down in the comments section if you're not having any trouble with State of Decay. If you're like, yeah, this game's no problem at all. What would you add to make the game more hardcore? Like, I think a big deal is there's too many resources. It's just too plentiful. Like, there isn't really a scarcity. Like, yeah, you start with low supplies, but it's really not that hard to stockpile up your stuff, especially if you have a trade depot. When the trade depot just automates everything, and I don't think it's wrong to automate the game, but the thing is, like, the game needs to, like, Oxygen Not Included is a good example of that. In the beginning, you have to generate your electricity manually. You build a giant hamster wheel, you put one of your guys on it, and that's how you get your power. Someone has to manually get on that hamster wheel and run on the turbine. But later on, you get ways that are hands-off, like you can get a coal power generator to get your electricity, and now that frees up the time of the people who were originally running on the turbine. But then the coal power generator has its own challenges that you're dealing with. It generates heat that gets trapped in your base. You need to find a way to cool it down. It exhausts carbon dioxide that is trapped in your base as well, so you got to find a way to deal with carbon dioxide. There is the coal. Like, you know, how can you keep up with the demand of the coal that it's burning? And the coal is still like a pretty early form of electricity. There's even other forms, more advanced forms of electricity. There's a whole tech tree of more and more complex forms of electricity that you can obtain. And that's what makes Oxygen Not Included so interesting, is trying to utilize all of the resources that the game offers you. And that's the problem with State of Decay, is that their tech tree ends really quickly, and many of the things you just don't need. Like, you know, you don't need the level 3 infirmary. Like, the level 2 infirmary, that's really all you need, because it's the one that heals the injury penalties.
Yeah, this group's pretty cool.
Fucking show them we won't go quietly.
In fact, the only, like, there's, like, let's look at our buildings. Like, which of these buildings they just suck if they're not upgraded? This one sucks if it's not upgraded.
This shit's not over yet.
They better protect me. This one needs to be upgraded once, which isn't hard to do. It has no requirements. This doesn't need to be upgraded, but if you do have a level 2 workshop, you get 1 material per day. This is helpful if it's upgraded, but not necessary. Outposts are a luxury. They're not absolutely necessary. So yeah, like most of these things, like this can be upgraded once. 25 storage to all is really all you need. And many of the large facilities, they just don't really matter. Like, the Forge is obsolete now. The Forge was pretty good in the beginning of the game, but now, who cares about the Forge? The auto mechanic is useful temporarily. It's useful if you want to upgrade your cars, but once you've upgraded your cars,
Got work to do.
there's no reason not to tear it down and replace it with something else until you need to upgrade more cars. Okay, so Day 99, midnight was not quite officially... I guess Day 100 will come in the daytime. Anyways, though, I do want to end it here, though, because, like, my voice is starting to hurt. It's, my voice definitely needs a rest. So, especially because I do a lot of talking, and sometimes a little bit of yelling in the dead space. I'm probably going to need at least an hour off. Anyways, let me not stress my voice any further than it already has been. Let me know down in the comment section what you think needs to be added to State of Decay, either to deepen its complexity or increase its hardcore elements. Or do you think it's hard enough as it is? Like God, like, make it easier. Like, maybe You know, you need to take it easy. It's already hard. Let me know down in the comments section. At any rate, that is the end of this episode. Remember, episode 100? That's probably going to be tomorrow. I'll definitely have to make some preparations for it. At any rate, that's the end of this episode, though. Like this video if it was entertaining. Subscribe for future State of Decay 2 content. And of course, remember that you don't have to be good to get good.